Hello, I'm Dawn Southern Compliance Broker Maximum One. Welcome to the Paperless Pipeline. This is our paperless transaction management, how we keep up with all of your paperwork and everything you do. So let's get started by creating a transaction. Click on Add Transaction. And when you come in here, I want you to select your location. You should only have one, but if you're at Paulding Realtor, then you're going to put Paulding MXGR. That should automatically be on there anyway, but just in case it's not, always click the office that you're at so we can keep up with the numbers from each office. Transaction name or property address, we are going to, this is going to be a listing, so the transaction name should be the property address. So here we're going to put, let's see. And the MLS or transaction number is, it should be just the FMLS number. That's the only number that we need. If there's not an FMLS number, you don't need to put anything in there. So just move on if it doesn't have an FMLS. So this is going to be a listing, and it is a residential. So we have our listing date as, we'll just put it today, and our automatic expiration date, we'll just whenever it says on your listing agreement. Let me just go back here for a second, because if you put active, you will not have the option of having an automatic expiration date. So when you have several active transactions that have already expired, then you're going to send me an email and say, hey, Dawn, can you take this out of my transactions because they're expired 6 months ago. If you put it as a listing, you have the option of the automatic expiration date, to where you're going to get an email from the transaction saying, hey, you got a transaction fixing to be expired. Then you will either do an amendment to extend the listing agreement, or you just let it expire. If you do nothing, then it's going to go to expired, withdrawn, and then it will not be shown on your active or listing transactions page any longer. Okay, we don't have an acceptance date yet because we're just this listing. We don't have a contract. So our seller's name is John Smith, and our list price is going to be, okay, the total commission, you don't have to put that down there, because when we go to do your commission statement or your DA request for closing, then we will put that in, because a lot of times it changes, and commission amounts change because of the sales price or whatever. You don't even have to worry about it. If you have another agent or referral, or you're given money to another agent for whatever, then any commission summary, anything about your commission, you can put in here, and that way we'll see it. You can do your breakdown of how things are supposed to be dispersed with your commission or whatever. So then you're going to come down here and you're going to search your name, and I'm going to add myself as the listing agent, and we're going to have the transaction added. Okay, so this is what it should look like when you have a listing in the Paperless Pipeline. Once you upload a document, then I will see that you have a new transaction, and I will come in and add the appropriate checklist. Okay, so, and anything that has agent is your responsibility. Anything that says broker is my responsibility. Okay, so if you upload your listing agreements, and then I come in here and I give you a couple days to get that done, you're going to have a little task right here. If you get to that date, it's going to turn, or after that date, it's going to turn red, and you're going to start getting emails. Don't ignore those. Take care of that, because that's one of the things that makes compliance departments stand on their head, is when you ignore tasks that are due or overdue, and then you don't respond and you don't take care of those tasks. Makes me see red. So We're going to upload our listing agreement, and there's 3 ways that you can upload documents to the transaction. You're going to upload docs. You can drag the documents from your desktop over to here and it will upload. You can click right here and we're going to have a listing agreement and a seller's property disclosure statement. Now, I have already labeled mine on the desktop, so, but when you upload a document to the transaction, if you click on the drop down, you can see that there's a lot already, you know, labels that you can use, so you can put on there what they are. I would love for you to make sure you always label your documents as to what they are. It makes it easier on the compliance department. So the permissions category is, all right, this is a listing agreement and a seller's disclosure. It is a listing that is only visible to you as the listing agent and a co-op agent if they're, I mean, you know, if you have an agent that co-lists with you, then they can see it, and then the staff. If you have an agent that is going to be on the selling side that's with Maximum One, then they're not going to be able to see your listing documents because they only have the permissions to see the sale documents and the buyer documents, and then you won't be able to see their buyer documents. If you put your documents in private, then no one in your transaction but you and compliance can see those documents. So if you have another agent in the transaction and you put them as private, they can't see them. So always put your contract documents in the sales category, the sale doc categories. So if you have another Maximum One agent, they will be able to see those documents, okay? So you upload your documents, and then that's when compliance will come through and we'll review whatever, you know, your listing agreement, and if there's anything, we send you an email and let you know what's missing or what needs to be corrected, or we'll leave you a little note right here and let you know what needs to be done to fix it. So now you have the third way that you can send a document to your transaction. This is an email address right here to this specific transaction. It is only for this transaction, not for just your pipeline. So you copy this and you put it in your email as who you're sending it to, as the recipient, and you will email whatever documents you need to through your regular email. Well, it's going to come to unassigned, and then you're going to go into your unassigned documents in the paperless pipeline. You're going to click the little blue assign button, and then it's going to go back to your transaction for review. So now that you have a listing, which is awesome, congratulations, you now get a contract. So we're going to upload your contract. And then I'm going to see that you have a contract in your transaction, and I'm going to go edit the information. Okay? So it's purchase and sale agreement, and we're going to put it in the sale docs. Okay, so I see you have a contract in your transactions. Congratulations, that was quick. And I'm going to go through here and we're going to change it to pending. And your closing dates, acceptance date, and this is, you may looking at your, you know, at your contract or whatever. So we're going to have Mary Poppins is going to buy John Smith's house, and she's getting quite a deal. Okay, commission summary still, I mean, the total commission still doesn't matter. We'll get that taken care of. So you're going to save your transaction. I'm going to save your transaction. Once you create a transaction, you cannot go back in and edit it as far as changing it from pending to active or listing, terminated, whatever. Compliance has to do that. But you can always just send us a little note through the pipeline letting us know that, you know, if we could correct or do whatever. Okay, so we've created a transaction, we've uploaded documents, we've labeled. Now we're going to merge some documents because you want to send some stuff to the closing attorney. Well, first let's add a contact. We're going to have a closing attorney. All right, add a contact. Now we are going to merge some documents together because we need to send the stuff to the closing attorney. So we have a purchase and sale agreement and the seller's disclosure, and we're going to send them the whole contract. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to merge these two documents together, okay, to make it one file. I always hear the Jeopardy theme when I see this little thing playing in my head. Okay, while we're waiting. Okay, there we go. Yay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to email the contract to the closing attorney. Okay. Click on the contract, and then you're going to take that email and drag it down, and then you're going to put contract and email, send email, and it will go directly to the closing attorney, which is really cool. I love the communication through the pipeline, and I will only communicate through the pipeline as if I can help it at all, because in here you have all of your everything that you have sent, everything that you do. Let's just email it to me, okay? And I will show you. We're emailing me a contract. We're pretending it's the closing attorney, but I don't want to freak them out by sending them blank documents. So I've sent it, and so the closing attorney's like, you call, make an appointment for the closing. Closing attorney's like, well, I never got the contract. You can go, well, I sent it to you. You click on right here, August the 17th at 9:24 a.m. Sent you the contract. All of your emails have a timestamp. Everything that you put in the transaction has a timestamp, so there's never a question of when it was uploaded to the pipeline. Right here, you have when you created your transaction, so there's never a question whatsoever. Okay, so you're emailing, you need to email, let's just say you're emailing your branch manager and earnest money. Looking for earnest money, clients mailing it, whatever, you send the email to your branch manager. That way, it's, you know, like I said, it's in the transaction, you always have it. The only thing that I ask is that when you go to do an email to the staff, there is absolutely no need to include every single person in this staff list. If it's only for the branch manager of a specific branch, you do not need to mark on everybody to send it to them. So just, you know, keep that in mind. So if you're searching for a transaction, say there was a terminated transaction and the buyer brokerage is still in that transaction, but I've already changed it to terminated. Okay, so you're going to go up here like, I can't find my buyer brokerage. It is gone. The transaction has been deleted. Well, no, it has not been deleted because we don't delete transactions. You go up here and you search by the buyer's name or the address of the terminated transaction, and it will show up in your transaction list. The only ones that are in your transactions homepage are the active, the listing, the buyers. Anything that's closed, terminated, or expired is not going to be on there anymore. So you can, you're not overwhelmed with a bunch of transactions that are no longer active. Okay, so in the reference section, if you have not looked in the reference section, oh my goodness. So there is a bunch of stuff in here that you can use. You go through it. I'm not going to go through everything because there's too much, but I want you to make sure that you familiarize yourself with the documents in the reference section of the pipeline and everything that's in there. There's contract tips, FMLS forms, the digital library, all your HUD information, tons and tons of documents, okay? All of your DA requests, earnest money transfer forms, earnest money request forms, manuals, and the policies and procedures, which change sometimes. And you know as well as I do, you have to keep up with that as an agent to stay in the know. So make sure that you always keep up with that so you know what's going on. Okay, so down here, almost all the way to the bottom, is a paperless pipeline section in the reference section of the pipeline. Everything that we're going over is here, right here, everything. So if you don't want to have to like fast forward through my ramblings of this training video trying to find a specific thing that you're looking for, then you just go in here and you look, and it's so simple, so simple. But if there's for some reason not there, go to your help right here, click on this little button that says help, and it's going to go to this really cool hang on, getting there. Well, again, Jeopardy theme in my head. Okay, well, when it finally pops up, there's going to be a button that you're going to click that says for agents, just general help. And once you get in there, it will be, there we go. It'll be stuff like mainly what we're talking about, or forgotten password, or how to upload a document, assigning a document to the transaction. Here's the whole thing right here. So you can go in and see anything that's not in the reference section of the pipeline. Okay, so you have checklists that I put in there, or Kim puts in there, that are for this specific transaction listing, whatever. Always, always, always be checking your checklist. Go in there and, you know, look, if every time you put something in there, just make sure you're glancing at your checklist to see what you need, because everything you're needing is going to be there. Okay, so if you have not had your DA request sent over to be processed yet, and it's just a couple days before closing, then go in here and check your checklist, because if everything is going to be whatever's not, let's say, for example, you don't have your commission agreement, and you call me and you're like, why are you not doing the DA? Why have I received my DA request yet? What does your transaction say? What are you missing in your pipeline? What's on the checklist? And it's going to say agent upload commission agreement. If you don't have all your documents, then we can't process your DA because you're not compliant. So just make sure you're always checking your checklist to see everything that you need or everything you're missing, so we can make it a smooth transaction and get you paid quickly. And again, why haven't I gotten paid? Why is my commission not in my checking account? I closed 3 days ago. Well, check your checklist and make sure that we have everything we need in order to get you paid. Okay. When maximum one has both sides of the transaction, you, as the listing agent, you've already got the transaction in the pipeline, so you have your listing agreement and whatnot. So you upload a contract, and you have another maximum one agent on the other side of the deal. Well, as the selling agent, you do not need to upload or create a new transaction for that same address. We need all the documents in the one transaction that the listing agent has already created. So once Kim or I see that you are the selling agent on that transaction, then we will add you. We'll go in, and when we edit the transaction with all of the contract information, then we're just going to add you to the transaction. Now, if you are added to an already existing transaction for whatever reason, and I have no idea, you do not have the ability to upload documents. Simply email them to me or Kim, whichever is your compliance broker, or the listing agent to upload to the transaction. No big deal. Email them to me or Kim, and we'll be happy to put them in the transaction for you. Okay? When you have a contract and, okay, you have a listing, then you have a contract, and then it's terminated. And I go in and I edit your transaction back to a listing, but all of your documents disappear. We don't delete them, as I said before. This is what I do with your documents. I go in to keep them from being mixed up with your new contract documents. I will put them in the office section of the paperless pipeline. So they're there, but you can't see them. And if you ever need them, of course, all you need to do is just send me an email and let me know what documents you need for whatever reason. But there they are in the office docs. You can't see them, but they're there, so we don't delete. Okay, so what gets a late fine with maximum one? Listing agreements, contracts, and closing disclosures. If you upload those later, we say 72 hours. If I'm in a really good mood, I might give you a week. But if you upload them after that, you're getting a late fine, because it's very important that we have those documents within 72 hours of binding, basically, because with the listing agreement, I mean, we need it to have in the transaction, and FMLS and Georgia MLS and all that. Contract documents, the contract mainly, because if maximum one is the holder of the earnest money, then we have to go take your contract, go by the dates on that, and put the little task, like here, for example. Let me find the earnest money deposit. Here is where we put a task. So your earnest money is due to be deposited right here on the 22nd of August. Okay, well, if I don't have your contract and I can't go by those dates and set up that, I have no idea that we are going to be the holder of the earnest money, and then I'm not doing, I'm not able to do my job by keeping up with it, nagging you about it, or having to send notice whenever it's not done when it's supposed to. Okay, so that's why one of the things that compliance departments stand on our head about is earnest money. We're very serious about earnest money, and it sets me off pretty quick. So make sure that you upload those documents. If you get paid at closing and we get the commission deposit, maximum one's transaction fee, but then you forget to put the closing disclosure in the transaction in the pipeline, we can't close out the transaction. So you technically have 72 hours to get it into the transaction. Like I said, I usually give about a week, and then I'm going to start hounding you like a bill collector to get that closing disclosure into the transaction. If you ignore my emails, do not upload the closing disclosure, then you're going to get your DA suspended for 3 transactions. So it's best to just go ahead, as soon as you turn in that check, and just upload that closing disclosure so we can close it out and everybody can be happy and move on our merry way. Okay. One thing I did forget to show you in the reference section of the pipeline, when you go in here, and if you're looking for something and you're in a hurry, say you got a DA request that needs to be put in the pipeline like now, because we like to have those. I usually send DA requests a week before closing. So if you upload it the day before, I'll send it. No promises it's going to get done, but Michelle and she's our DA request queen. She's amazing. So, I mean, it's possible it'll get done. You can do a quick search. So you click on quick search if you don't want to go through every single document in here, and you just put in DA, and it's going to pop up search. And there you go. DA request. It's in the financial forms. So it's an easier way to look for stuff instead of having to scroll through the many documents, many useful documents in the transaction. So, okay, well, I think that is all of our pipeline tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to give me or Kim a call, or just email us, send us an email, go through. You're not going to hurt anything if you create a transaction, just play around and practice. Just send me an email and let me know that it needs to be, removed. It's just a practice transaction, and we can do that for you. So thank you very much. Happy selling. Have an awesome day.